Shelbourne Park on the eve of the All-Ireland football final. It normally means the Derby final, but on this occasion the Derby is a week later and we have to look back at the semi-finals of the BoyleSports Derby. The man suited and booted to my left, Kevin Hennessy, will go through the two semi-finals. Firstly, the opening semi-final. Blackfarn was the dog that came through the score, but it was more about the dogs that went missing in this race. Native, Chimes and Tyrur Harold going out in this contest. Blackfarn a fine display, but what about that early speed from Bucko's Dream?
Yeah, no, look, Blackfarn very, very impressive. You have to say the inside draw, a massive help from Bucko's Dream. We know how quick he is to the corner. Curly's really getting some tune out of this dog, and he's probably going to pay a set in the final as well, you would imagine. 3, 4 and 6 Carnage at the opening bend, their chances was gone really at the opening bend. Native Chimes had a chance, but I thought Haybound was very, very gallant to stick on, and she was really, really strong coming home to hold off the charge of Native Chimes. But Bucko's Dream, if he leads like that around the opening bend, which he probably should, he's going to be hard enough to pick up. And Blackfarn, Graham Holmes, a massive performance in winning that opening semi-final. Yeah,
Blackfarn, we know two things about him. He's a good strapper and he stays. He popped out, he's outpaced into the corner, firstly by Bucko's Dream, but then Haybound, the young, well, he's not that young, but he's the likely race greyhound. He showed fine early dash. He's only a couple of lengths off Bucko's Dream on the corner, but he had to give away his second spot to Blackfarn at the second bend. And even as early as the second bend, the writing was on the wall. Sticky conditions. Bucko's Dream was 4.5 lengths clear entering the back straight, but Blackfarn, we knew he was going to come home that few lengths faster. And he collared him sort of early enough and actually won a bit cosily in the finish, but it was a fine display by Blackfarn. But it has to be said, what about Bucko's Dream and Haybound in second and third? Haybound, a bit of a fairy tale. He'd be a big price in the final, I have no doubt, but he could play a big part in the final.
Yeah, and Bucko's will as well. This is as heavy as going as I've seen in Shelbourne in a long time. When I first walked in, I thought the early pace setters like Bucko's Dream, who I fancied to win that semi-final, I thought they were going to struggle to qualify. I couldn't really see them qualifying with how heavy it is. It really is very, very tough going here tonight. I would imagine, I would bet my dollar on it, next week it'll be a lot quicker and it might be a different result. He's so quick to the third bend, Bucko's Dream. He'll probably be in front of the third bend, and you'd take your hand off any greyhound to be in front of the third bend in Derby final. Anything can happen there coming home. Blackfarn summed them up great there. He starts very well, lacks a bit to the corner, but he just stays going, and he's a very, very good dog. Haybound, a likely outsider in the final, but a perfect draw as we know now in Trap 1, and I'm sure he'll run a big race. But don't rule out Bucko's yet. I think it'll be a bit quicker going underfoot next week, and he'll have a major part to play.
Then we moved on to the second heat. We knew the first three finalists, and in the second heat we were expecting a couple of the big names to go through, and they duly obliged. Good News was racing in Trap 1. He was second favourite, but for my money probably should have started favourite, and he did it as a favourite should. He flew out of traps, and once he got to the front, Sonic was always going to struggle to pick him up, although Sonic did run well in second. Despite sort of standing up a couple of times in the race, he seemed a bit uncomfortable in the sloppy ground perhaps.
Yeah, well, look, we talked about it last week after the draw was done for the semi-finals. We said the Good News looked to one now because there was so little inside seeds. He was in one for the semi-final. We knew he was likely to get 1-2, worst case scenario for the final, and it duly obliged. He's a different animal out of one. I know there's certain people that like to knock him. I love the dog. I think he's very, very good. He can get a bit hot under the collar. He does get a bit wound up. Pat has said that in the past, but he's so professional at the moment. He's doing everything right, and he's going to start probably favourite in the final. He was very, very impressive. Sonic ran a massive race in second. It's going to be hard to pick up Good News when he's in front. I don't think many dogs will if he leads. And then Jet, what can I say? There's no point in me even keep going on about him. He's a warrior. Pinged out tonight, which is what we wanted to see. He'd been very, very sluggish out of boxes in the opening few rounds. He started well. It's a bonus to get this far. I call it. He just finds a way of getting the job done sometimes. So he'll be a big price in the final, but you just have to say don't rule him out because he's done it so many times in the past.
Yeah, JT Jet off camera last week, we sort of stated he had to lead Kilgraney Ace in the opening yards, and he certainly did that. And once turning in third, he was always going to qualify. And I'd say you enjoyed watching that contest. Did you even see what was happening up front in the first look?
No, I had to watch the replay. I was roaring him on down the back. Look, he loves the cameras. He loves the big occasion. He thrives on it. I took him out tonight before we came racing, and he leapt 4 foot off the ground. He was just in that form, and he just seems to know when he gets into the latter stages of the competition. He'll relish this next week. He'll love the cameras. He'll love all the attention. He'll love the buzz. Whether that's going to be good enough, especially from a draw in 4, I doubt it. But look, he's there, and I hope he can produce his best in the final.
We must give a mention to the two that didn't get there. Jumps the Star played its part in this year's Derby, a 33-1 winner one night, and of course Kilgraney Ace, who ran so well through the rounds. But we must give commiserations to the connections. They ran, fantastic greyhounds to get this far.
Oh, they did. Look, Drumston Star ran really, really well down the back even and was thereabouts, but there was 3 strong dogs in front, and we talked off air last week. We said the first 3 around the opening bend are probably going to be the 3 to go through, because one of Kilgraney or Jet, it looked likely that one of those would probably turn in 4th or 5th, and was going to struggle to pick up if Good News and Sonic went round in 1st and 2nd as we expected, and that's the way it panned out. Kilgraney Ace was awesome for Thomas Buggy, and I think it was his first ever semi-final, and he's an up and coming trainer. He does his dogs immaculately well, and I have no doubt that Thomas will have many more Derby semi-finalists and finalists to come as well.
There's going to be a lot of talk about the Derby final in the coming days. We'll look at it briefly. Firstly, hot off the press, we know that BoyleSports, your own company, have gone 7-4 joint favourites, Good News and Sonic. First look, I thought Sonic might start favourite with Good News in Trap 2, but more importantly, Haybound in Trap 1. He goes up strongly and he does tend to edge off that rail. I thought Sonic might just get dragged into the race by Bucko's Dream in 5, who looks certain to lead him and leave Sonic with a little bit of space.
Yeah, well, the one thing I would say about Sonic is we know the Jet's in 4, and Jet can go up. He can do the similar sections to Sonic, and Sonic will have to get around him because we know Jet's going to go wide. Bucko's will more than likely be in front of him, and that might just be a bit tricky for Sonic. That would be my reading of that. Good News is pinging. He's flying to the corner. He's doing everything right. I think Good News for me, I'd be the other way. I would have had Good News nearly going off favourite. I just think he's drawn very, very well to the pitch. Bucko's is going to go up in front of Sonic. Sonic is going to come in slightly on the corner, we'd imagine. Jet's going to be going the opposite way. He'll have to clear Jet in the corner to get around in a good pitch. Whereas Good News, even if Haybound sort of just rides him a slight bump, you'd imagine the others are going to be further out. So I think he might just be able to ride that bump if he's not in front of him. So look, it's a brilliant final. It's just over. It's going to take a lot of reading into it and working it out what we will fancy to win it. But I said last week I thought Good News, and I think he's still the one to beat for me.
Just have to give a mention, Bucko's Dream, they're in at 9-2, although it's been said to me that he may be bigger during the week. They're going to take a look at that again that in the morning. Black Farron at 5-1. He's going to need to do everything right from the draw.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be very hard to see him getting across the 2 inside him. You're talking about Haybound just slightly edging, Good News slightly out. So can Black Farron, even if he takes a flying start because he gets outpaced to the corner, can he clear the others? I doubt it. I think he might struggle a bit, but look, it's a Derby final. How many times have we talked about Derby finals and ruled dogs out? Look at this year's English Derby. Astute Missile winning the English Derby 25-1. So any of them can win it. It's a credit to all owners, all trainers, all handlers, everyone involved, all breeders, to have 6 Derby finalists. How many dogs are bred every year? And there's only 6 of them lined up in the BoyleSports Irish Derby final, and I'm sure it's going to be an exciting week and a brilliant final regardless of what happens.
Very well said. Indeed, it's going to be an absolutely enthralling and intriguing final. And join us next week at Shelbourne Park for the final of the €150,000 to the winner, BoyleSports Irish Greyhound Derby. It's going to be a life-changing occasion for one of the connections of one of the 6 Greyhounds.